everyone. Welcome back to the Command Your Brand Show. I'm your host, Josh Silvestro, brand ambassador of Command Your Brand, where we help CEOs and founders get on top-rated podcasts. Grab our new book, rated the #1 PR book on Amazon, bestpodcastbook.com. Reminder before we get into today's conversation to comment on and like this video and smash the subscribe button if you want to command your brand through the power of podcasting. So in today's episode, we actually have a very special guest speaker who I've touched it before on other episodes, maybe like very lightly, but this one we're diving more into because I know some people have asked about this. And this is the subject of traveling and the whole traveling industry and how that works. So I actually have a very special guest speaker who's going to talk to us about that and her business about traveling. And she's an amazing CEO and founder for this company and is known for her luxury and booking and just all around amazing time with traveling. I think it's made into a fun experience. So I should introduce you guys to Lydia. Lydia, thanks for joining the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I guess what we'll first start off with, for people who don't know who you are and just they want to get to know you a little bit better, could you guys tell us a little bit yourself and like where you come from and like why you started the company that you have today?
Sure. So my company's name is Aiden and Ivy. I am originally from California. I'm now based on the East Coast. So I live in 2 states, really, Florida and Massachusetts. Or you can just kind of say I live in the world because I'm always traveling. It's what you do if you're a travel advisor. I started this company, Aiden and Ivy, because I really wanted to assist people with luxury travel and do it in such an eco-friendly / sustainable way without making it feel not luxe, if that's the easiest way of saying it.
Yeah.
So what I do is my company, we plan travel. We do destination weddings, celebrations, such as honeymoons, or somebody has finished a really big step in their career or their life, and send people all over the world. Sometimes I'm like amazed by the things that we do or the places that we go because it's always so varied and so amazing. Really, so let me give you more background on my company. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
So really, we customize travel to the person that's traveling, to the group that's going, meaning that you can go anywhere and you can do bookings anywhere. You could go online and chat GPT it and figure out a plan of action of where to go. But instead, what we do is we really get to know the person in and out, through and through, what they're interested in, what they like, what they don't like, what they're allergic to, what has always been a dream of theirs, but they haven't been able to do. And then we customize these plans of itineraries or actions to what those people really want. So for example, I have a couple that's getting married right now and they're going to Mexico, and we've really put this together. And of course, I could easily say, hey, these 3 places look great for you. But instead, it's really getting to know who they are, what they like, and finding the absolute perfect place that makes it so it's not cookie cutter for them and not cookie cutter for anyone else who's going to their wedding. So really just putting that all together. It's such a pleasure getting to know people, because really what we're looking to solve, besides putting them in eco-friendly, luxurious places, it's solving their time or their problems with time and money. Meaning these CEOs, these visionaries, these people who are trendsetters in their fields, time is money.
Yes.
You're spending the last thing you want to do is spend your time, which could be worth $300 an hour or more, on trying to figure out where to go. What do I do? What can I do that's fun? Instead, we take that all over, give that person their time back, and then just get to planning and putting this together and creating these itineraries that every single client of mine at the end's like, I had no idea. I had no idea I could do this, or like, how did you know? Were you secretly recording me? It's really just me listening and figuring out what that person really wants and then delivering it.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I'm also going through a wedding phase where our wedding's in June. So I kind of understand where like it can be a little bit stressful to find out where all the things that you need, the places that you're going to go, what should we have, what shouldn't we have, what is needed, what's wanted. So it's kind of like you really have to just, and I think what I appreciate is that you're sort of gathering all the information that you kind of remember and know all these things before they forget. Cause it's, for a lot of people, it's stressful for them. I'm sure even just traveling in general is stressful because they're like going to a new place they've never been before. Maybe they have, but they're like, they haven't done this, thing a lot, so I kind of understand what you're talking about there.
Yeah. It's really
Yeah.
just allowing them to be creative and like just letting it all out and taking that information and then creating off their creativity. It's really collaborative, but yet doesn't steal their time at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And I'm just out of curiosity, what made you decide on the title of your name of the company?
Sure. I always said if if I had a boy, his name would have been Aiden. I did not have boys. So I was like, Aiden's coming with me though. That's like that name was meant to be. And then throughout my life, for some reason, I've always had Ivy attached to me, whether it's working for my previous companies or being a part of different groups. Ivy has always been around, and putting that together just seems so seamless. So it's Aiden and Ivy.
That's so cute. I like that. That's pretty fun. And what about in terms of your industry of how this works? Because I know a lot of people, you know, people come to you because they're like stressed out about coming to different places or weddings or anything like that. So what do you find is like, you know, for people that you've come across, what is the most stressful thing about travel for you that you've come across and they've come to you for?
I mean, we are fortunate because we live in such an age where there's technology and it's everywhere. And you have AI and you have, oh, I just want to look up how to weave a bird basket or whatnot. And then you've got like 50 million examples on how to do it, plus videos. That is overwhelming when you're doing travel or when you're doing a destination wedding. It's like you're bombarded by all this information. And the reason why you hire someone like me or you hire someone within my company is because we that's our goal. Like we study this. We get to know the different suppliers in the different parts of the world. We have meetings with them and learn about their properties, what makes each thing unique and why is it special in their own right. So when you're coming to me, say for example, or a client's coming to me, let's just use a place. Right now, let's use Switzerland. And you're like, I want to go to Switzerland. Great. You want to do wellness? Oh, awesome. Oh, you want that unique experience of being in a globe, like one of those clear globes, and then you can kind of see out. Perfect. I've got the best place for you. But not only is that, because you can really find that information yourself online, but then I call my friends who are the suppliers of those hotels. I call them partners because really we're working together on these things. And now I'm be able to VIP my client and get them things that they weren't even aware. For example, I had some of my favorite clients just went on a baby moon. And when they were there, yeah, amazing place in Hawaii. They were like, I love this island. Was not expecting it. But what they didn't know is we had arranged inside the room to have a baby outfit that said, not the resort's name, but like Mahalo or, other things like that. And then there were little knickknacks and little goodies. I had another client. I don't always have clients that have babies, but this has been recent.
Yeah.
I had another client who went to New York for business and we planned that whole thing. And then when they got there, they were surprised because in their room, there was a crib and there was a plushie and there was da-da-da and like diapers. They didn't have to think about any of that.
Yeah.
And that goes a little bit beyond just the travel. But to me, it's just as important because your travel experience isn't going to be stress free and relaxing if you have to think about these other things. And I also love to do what we call capers, surprise you, give you
Yeah.
something more than what you're expecting.
Mm, interesting. Just curious because I've actually never heard of this. What is a baby moon, anyways? I don't even know what that is.
Sure. So a baby moon is when it's wonderful, you find out you're pregnant and you're going on that last trip before the baby comes and it's just the two of you. And so it's a baby moon. Now, if you have other kids, you can definitely do another baby moon, but someone's got to watch the other kids. So
Right. Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of it. I've heard a family moon. I've heard a honeymoon. This is a baby moon is the first for me. Wow, that's intense. And I guess for people who, who are listening to this, they're business owners or they travel a lot or they're going on a vacation for work or for whatever they're doing, right? I guess for you, you've hit the mistakes for what people have made in terms of traveling, what they should do, what they shouldn't do, right? What do you
Yeah.
find like the top 5 mistakes that people make when traveling? Like what do you find is like the things that people often do that they shouldn't be doing?
So not checking your passport, meaning, you have a passport, it expires in, I don't know, 6 months to a year when you did the booking, but
Yeah.
you don't know that the country that you're going to has a rule where you have to have either like 2 passport pages free so that they can stamp them, or you have 6 months beyond the time that you're traveling that's still available on your passport. So getting to the airport and realizing, oh no, what do you mean I can't travel? That's huge. Um, it was for a little bit, vaccines and things like that, because different
Yeah.
countries are different. But really, I find more so when it comes to vaccines, and I know everyone has their viewpoints on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you go from one country to another, you have to have a vaccine that you didn't have to have if you had just gone straight to the second country.
Wow.
So knowing those little nuances when it comes to different countries is really important. 2, 3, I would say entry. Now, a lot of countries are expecting citizens of the United States to have visas to get in them. And so, for example, England just put into effect that you need a visa if you're going to stay there. Well, for a while, they were even saying you need a visa to travel to another, like if you're just going through. I stopped in London for an hour and now I'm on my way to Rome. For a bit, they were saying you needed to have a visa as well. Well, that
Wow.
rule just changed. So now you don't need to have that. But if you didn't know about the rule to begin with, that could have been problematic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
It's just
And
these little nuances.
yeah. And I know too, it's also funny too, when we went, me and my fiance, we actually went on a boat trip about, I think 2 years ago now at this point. We
Mhm.
actually totally forgot about my passport to update it. So I was like, oh my God, we're leaving in like a month or two. We're leaving in a couple of months, but we have to get our passports updated. So that kind of makes sense. And I know too that also in the United States that there's some travel changes that are coming up with, how people traveling. Like it's not just one ID anymore. There's other factors involved with it. So I guess
Mhm.
that must be part of your checklist of like what you need to do in order to have and travel safely. I'm sure for you, right?
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
another big thing, people people usually don't know this. When you travel on a yacht or go on a cruise, doesn't matter how luxurious the cruise is or how like, we're just going to have fun kind of cruise or yacht, your passport has to be okay for every country that you enter and that you get off that boat. Otherwise, you're staying there on the boat. And
Yeah.
so that's a big thing. But people also don't know is a lot of those, I think all of them actually do background checks on you.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Is that a new thing or is that a real recent thing or that's been always like that?
It's always been like that. So you might have a DUI from, or a jaywalking thing from when you were younger that you've
Yeah.
completely forgotten about, but that could be something that stops you from being able to get on the cruise.
Wow.
Hmm.
It just sounds like a scary thing that like people are traveling. And I guess that it kind of makes sense why you hire someone to help you with that because like it is a scary thing when they do background checks. You're like, oh my God, I hope they don't find out about me. Like, oh my God, will they find me that, that I've like done some bad things and like just I can't get out of it now and I can't travel now. So like, how do you calm people down with that? Because I know a lot of people that I've met, they freak out about traveling a lot and just like, oh, I have this anxiety of like, how can I make it to other places? And just, I have to have all these things on time. Like, how do you get rid of that anxiety for people?
Right. And it's really exactly what you said. It's this anxiety that sort of starts building and I see it and I feel it. And really it's about I walk someone through, okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the basics so you can see what I'm doing. And then that way you're not stressed. It's all about communication. And so making sure that they have this information. I always find out one, how do people like to be communicated to? Some people want it by text message. Some people want emails. I always back everything up by email so they have that copy, but it's really how do they prefer to be communicated with? And then making sure they are aware of like what the steps are. Some people just really want those bullet points, like just give
Yeah.
it to me easy. And so you have to be aware of who you're working with and what their style is. There's a lot of understanding of people that goes into this world. Like I have to understand you and understand the country they're going to and the people there and being able to just to make my clients aware, like this is what they're expecting and what's needed.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. It's such a fascinating thing because you don't really know all these rules until it's changed and like, oh, they don't really make an announcement about you. Like, like how your phone just updates automatically and you kind of just tells you what's new about it. Like it's sort of like
Yeah.
that for the planet, but it's like they don't tell you what's actually going on. So it's kind of like you have to kind of research almost like for people who are traveling and you just don't know what's kind of going on around the world or how things work.
Hmm.
What do you do when you have people like that? They just, they don't travel at all. An example is like my uncle who, when COVID happened, it was like he was so freaked out about traveling because he's from California, by the way. And what's funny is he just hasn't traveled in like 6 years. So he doesn't know anything in the world what's happening. Like he hasn't had a passport. He hasn't had any of those things,
Yeah.
So like, what do you do how do you educate people on, like, do you just educate people on what's going on so people are aware of it?
So yes and no. I don't educate them about what's going on around the world because that's going to overwhelm them. I
Yes.
focus on where do you want to go? What are
Mhm.
you hoping to accomplish? And from there, that's where that educational piece will come. And
Yeah.
I, if you are in real estate, if you're a doctor, if you run a business, one of the most important things of being like on top of your game is continually learning,
Mm,
whether it's a CE course, whether it's going to someone who might do something a little bit different than you. It's this continual step of learning. And that's actually what I do. Every day I set aside time to learn about more what's happening in this part of the world. So let's say your uncle,
yeah.
decides he wants to go to Mexico. Great. But then we have like this pandemic thing that happens again. Oh no, what happened? What are we going to do? That's where I come in because I'm studying that so that I can have that conversation and really explain this is what you need to know and this is what we can do to get there. Also, a lot of my clients, once they've been with me once, are just kind of like, okay, Lydia, you got it. You just tell me what I need to know because they know that I'm really diving deep and I'm coming up with the exact information that they need to have. So
Right.
it really just, my clients, it puts them to ease.
Yeah, no, it makes sense too. It's kind of funny too because like I know people just that get scared of all the travel and what they have to do in order to get there. So it's like I think just having your service, I'm sure, benefits a lot of people, and just really knowing that they're safe and that they can travel and not worry about what's going to happen or like what documents they need or anything like that. Because I think that's all very important stuff.
It's
Yeah.
true. See what you're so with when you're working with a travel advisor such as myself, who whether it's luxury travel or not, we charge what's called a planning fee. And the
Yeah.
reason why you're doing that is because you're actually paying for my knowledge and to make it so that you aren't stressed, you're not anxious, and you're not like, okay, maybe we just won't go. I'm just losing my money for
Yeah.
the whole trip. So that's what really it comes down to. Like we're making it, it's my job to make you feel amazing and stressless. That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
That's the whole point. Yeah, that's great. And I guess from a business standpoint, right? Like you're obviously you're a business owner that owns that helps people travel. What do you find are because I know there's some people around the world that I'm sure have their own traveling business and helps other people. I guess what makes yours different than everyone else's?
That's such a great question.
I know. That's why they pay me the
What
big bucks. Just kidding.
That's right. Really what makes me different than say others is I'm not looking to spend all of your money. Especially if you're an athlete, I feel like, or someone who's a celebrity, that's what you get a lot of time. People are like, oh, unlimited budget. Woo. Great. I get that. But really what I'm focusing on is making this so tailored to you that you can't get this experience anywhere else.
Mm,
So it's very tailored. As I said, capers, which are like little surprises, little gifts, little things that make you know or let you know that I'm listening and that, um, we care about you. So it's
Yeah.
this huge care factor that goes into planning my clients' travel. I care about each one of them and I want to make sure they've worked so hard in whatever their fields are that when they go on their trips, they feel cared and like they don't have to worry or wonder, where do I go for this or what do I do? Is that
Yeah, that
making
answers the question.
sense?
That's good. And then, yeah, it does. And then, so when you're in your business, right? So, what do you? Because I know a lot of times people have their struggles and they have their ups and downs in business. Because like 'cause some businesses are like that. What do you find people struggle with the most? Like when you're like in handling other people's, um, like what do you find in this industry? What do you find the struggles are in this business? Because actually, I have no clue what people struggle with.
Right. In this business, I think you run across people who struggle to let go.
Mhm.
Especially if you are a business leader or, like I said, a visionary who's used to making that call all the time, being able to know that you can trust the person to really carry out your vision sometimes can be a little tough. Um, there's so much product in the world that knowing ins and outs can sometimes be a bit tricky. So I think if you're a travel advisor, if you're looking and being in travel, it's really important to take that time to study and to learn, not just the basics. Like I can go on a website and really tell you everything that's there, but it's about the relationships that you create. So I'm not kidding when I say I have partners around the world. There are people that I can call that I'm just like, oh, I have a client that wants to go to Japan. Let me call Mayra or something. And then I'll
Yeah,
give that person a call.
yeah.
And it's the fact that I can pick the phone up, I can text them. We have that sort of relationship, which makes it for the client that much better. But
Mm.
I would say that's important. This industry is about relationships.
Yeah. And what
So
do you do? What do you do? Because I know obviously, you have your own vision, but maybe other people around the world or agent like other places, like say, other agencies like you, or let's say other. Because I'm sure you're connected with hotels and like other places around the world that do certain things. What do you,
mhm.
if you find that they don't really connect with you, like, or let's say they don't connect with you anymore, like they don't share the same vision as you do? What do you do with those? Do you just like waste them and just get a new one, or what do you do with those? Because I know for people who are trying to get in this business, it's like like you're right. Like the main thing is you have to get some type of relationship with the person, but maybe their vision isn't quite the right thing. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it's really harsh to say, do you waste them? I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it that way. I would say you, it's really about keeping that relationship. So maybe this doesn't work right now, but who's to say that's not going to work for the, 5 clients later? And so keeping that sort of friendship, that sort of camaraderie up and keeping the affinity up is really, really important. I travel to conferences around the world. I have one that's coming up in the Balearic Islands, which is like Ibiza and I'm sorry,
It's okay.
tumbling over my words,
Yeah, yeah,
Mallorca and all
yeah,
that. But the reason why I go to these things and people are like, "Oh my gosh, your social media is amazing." Sure. But the real reason I'm going is to keep these relationships up with people that I've never used. There are hotels and there are resorts. There are tons of these things that you just can't always book at. But it's really just making sure I keep those relationships. And so let's say I'm going to make this up. It's the Heart Agency, the Heart
yeah.
Hotels. And I'm like, great, you guys were great. And you were doing a lot of eco friendly things last year. But now it looks like you are, I don't know, laying people off without even like thinking about anything or whatnot. Or you're no longer giving my clients what they need. Cause really it's about my clients. You're no longer willing to give my clients what they need. That's fine. Love talking to you. Let me now talk to Mr. Matt Company or something. And so it's important for me to find what works for my clients. And that's really who my loyalty is. If you're in real estate, you think fiduciary duty, and that's a big law term. It's like, who are you loyal to? Who's your actual duty to? And my duty is to my clients. And that's what I go with. But not to say that working with my clients, meaning the partners, isn't as important. I as well look at them and try to decide who's a good fit for them. So really, it's just about understanding all overall.
Nice. That's awesome. And so for people, when you're connecting with people, what are some of the key, like, I'm sure you probably have like key points that you want to keep in, like for your vision, right? Like, and I guess like, because you obviously know people around the world, like what are your key things for maybe for people who's listening to this, wants to have their own traveling agency, and they want to really just, they want to start building relationships with other, hotels or spa places or whatever. What do you find is your successful action in keeping these relationships?
Getting out there, just going. Like there are times where it's cold in Boston. You don't always want to go outside. Like we just had, below -6 yesterday in temperature. I don't want to go outside. But if a supplier has come to Boston and they're having an event, they've made that effort to come here. So it's me getting out and going to see them, learning about their products and really, hey, how are you doing? Tell me about your family, blah, 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 blah. Really knowing about them and their product. They made the effort. I have to make the effort. When I go to other countries, every single time I sit with a new supplier, it's giving them my full attention. It's really about, lack of better words, putting giving them beans. And let me try to explain that.
Yeah.
You as a person are very, very important, and you have things that I may not know or may not guess on. So if I sit there and I actually pay attention to you and pay attention to my suppliers and then really understand who they are, what they're looking to do, where they're coming from, and grant them beingness. That's it. It's granting them beingness, granting them, okay, you've got my full attention and nothing else has my attention. Then that relationship goes so much farther because they're going to remember that I actually know and they're paying attention to them. So
Right.
if you're going to get into this business, you have to be willing to communicate and to make relationships with people.
Nice. That's awesome. And I guess I would love to also hear too, are there any success stories that you had with people? Like I'm sure you've had a lot of clients in a lot of different places around the world. Are there any particular person, maybe one or two examples that you can give that like, I love to hear like successes that they've had with you in your company, or like they've actually dealt with your services and they're like, wow, this is like amazing. Like, and you just changed their life. Like, I'm sure I'm sure you can name one or two of those, right?
I can. And actually, I'm going to go back to that example of the passport and not being able to travel. One of my first weddings, there were people coming from all over and very often, like people think I can do this on my own. I don't need you. It's totally fine. I was like, okay, that's fine. So the guests were coming to the wedding and they were traveling on their own. And one guest and his lovely wife were traveling and they got to the airport and then they were told, sorry, sir, you can't travel. And he's like, what do you mean? And it was the passport. The company he had booked with, I'm not going to say any names,
Yeah.
but they're very well known in travel. One of those, I use my credit card with them all the time kind of companies.
Wow.
And they didn't educate them. They didn't check their passport. They didn't let them know that there were certain things that were needed. So when this client got to the airport, they couldn't go. So he had to find a passport, like fly somewhere else to get a passport or go, so he could be there for his friend's wedding. And so they were like, Lydia, please just call him. I was like, okay, fine, I'll call. So I called him. I'm going to give a fake name because that's easiest. I'll just say Mr. Blue. So I called Mr. Blue and it was immediately like, okay, this is a plan of action. You're going to fly here. You're going to do this, get your passport. Your wife is going to meet you at the airport with your bags. It's going to be seamless. And then a lot of that anxiety. But what if this doesn't work? What if we miss each other? What if I'm like, looking at the times, this is going to be fine. And of course, you'll get to the airport. You'll arrive 2 hours before the wedding. So you'll still be able to go to the wedding. So the company that they originally were working with was like, yeah, you can go do all that, but we can get you an hour behind after the wedding. So you'll miss the wedding. And that was like his thought, like, I'm going to miss the wedding. There's no way I can do that. So after talking with him, after planning it out, did everything we did, got to the wedding 2 hours before. And from that point forth, he's like, you're my travel advisor. I'm like, great. And this person has been my biggest supporter as Mr. Blue is constantly telling people about my agency that he works with because he knows I'm going to take care of it for him.
That's amazing. I really like that. Yeah.
I'm fortunate. I have some really good, very amazing people that I get to work with.
Excellent. All right, good. So just so I understand, so I want also the people to reach out to you to kind of get to know you better and a little bit more, maybe they want to like get to know you better or they want to like just, have your services. Where can people reach out to you? Where can people find you so that people can know who you are?
The best way I would say to reach me is by going on my website. That's www.aidenandivy.com. Spelling's right there on the bottom of my screen. But that's the easiest way. That way you can reach out to me and contact me, schedule a meeting, but you can also kind of see some of the things that we do at Aiden and Ivy. So
nice.
I would say that's
awesome.
easiest.
That's great. Okay, good. Well, I appreciate the time you kind of given us and me specifically on just learning about, how traveling works. I know sometimes it's stressful for people and you kind of made it less stressful. So I really appreciate the time you kind of given us for answering a lot of your questions about travel and also about your business, which I really appreciate. And, I really appreciate you coming on the show and spending some time as a busy lady who comes on the show.
I mean, I appreciate you, meeting with me as well, and I always love talking about travel. So I'm here. Awesome. You need to call me as well. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yes. I'll have to call you. All right, cool. Well, if you guys like this stuff, please like and subscribe to us. And if you guys like Lydia, definitely check her out. She's definitely a very interesting person to get to know too, and also help you with the traveling. So Lydia, I appreciate the honor for having you on my show, and I will see you later.
Thanks. I'll see you later.